This week's edition of Church Media Design TV is sponsored by Print Management Solutions. Welcome to another edition of Church Media Design TV tips, tricks, and how-to for you, the Church Media Designer. I'm your host, Brad Zimmerman, and I am joined every week by my favorite bobbleheaded friends. You got it right. We got Fred Flintstone, Little Whitey, Colonel Sanders, and of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord Most High. Well, this show is all about how to use media to effectively increase God's kingdom. We want to use the media that surrounds us to share the most important story, and that is the story of Jesus Christ. So whether or not you're a media producer, you're a sound or a video guy, or you're a youth pastor, or you work for a nonprofit, I want to help you guys use the media that surrounds you to do this, and I want to help you save some money along the way. So today we're actually going to be talking about Adobe InDesign, which is a layout program to lay out print documents. Awesome program, and give you guys some tips on how to do mailing labels as well as how to do postcards and, streamline your process a little bit and save some time. As well as we got a whole bunch of news and a bunch of great resources for you guys. So if my favorite bobbleheaded friends are ready, let's get into it. Well, this week I have a little news for you, and both of the major players in presentation software for the church, ProPresenter and MediaShout, both came out with some interesting new developments. And the first one is ProPresenter's new edge blending module. Now, ProPresenter has had these extra modules that you can buy on top of the base package of ProPresenter that really extend the functionality and do some really interesting things. One of them is their keying module, which lets you send out alpha text to use if you're doing maybe you're using a video switcher and you want to use ProPresenter to do all the titling, but you don't want to, you can send out alpha information to that keyer. So that's a pretty cool one. The other one that they released recently was the triple head module, which allows you to do 3 screens using a triple head to go from Matrox, which is a pretty inexpensive card that splits your output and makes it so your computer sees that you have this giant output when in reality you have 3 outputs going out to 3 different projectors. Well, they have taken that technology and merged it with edge blending. Now, edge blending, I actually got a chance to sit down with Brad Weston, the head of Renewed Vision, and he talked me through this whole process, and it was very interesting. Basically, what it comes down to is edge blending is when you see a giant screen that spans, the back of the stage. Northland, the church I was at in Florida, they have a 15-foot by 75-foot screen that spans the back of their stage. Well, they're using 3 projectors and they're blending those seamlessly together to create one image. Well, up until now, you would have to do 2 different things. You would either have to buy a specific Panasonic projector that has that built in. Actually, there's 3 different things. You'd have to buy this ridiculous, like $60,000, device that did all of that work for you, or you had to buy these individual, just over $1,000 per projector units that did that edge blending, and you'd have to set that up every single time and all that stuff. Well, ProPresenter has said there's got to be a better way, and so they created edge blending. And so you can see in this diagram that, you can do this with dual head or you can do triple head. So you can see that the data is being doubled here. And the problem is that area becomes a lot brighter. You can see how this is gray, this becomes white because it's so much brighter. And so what you need to do is you need to dip or fade the edges. And so you can kind of see in these diagrams that they're fading these edges to create a seamless image. You can see here, you got these faded edges that create this one image. And so you'll see basically your projectors are, they're now overlapping, and some of them are projecting the same thing. And you can actually say how much do you want to overlap or how much don't you want to overlap. And they give you some grids that you can use to match everything up and make it look nice. And they're actually doing some interesting things, because when black is projected, how do you fade down past black? You can't. And so they're actually doing some interesting things, that they're raising the black value of the other portions of the screen to match your black area that's being doubled, so that it still looks black when it's really, a lighter gray when you go to black. So some really interesting things. It could be $50,000 or $1,500 per projector, and I think the new module is right around $1,000. So it's expensive, but yet it's way inexpensive compared to what's out there. So this kind of makes a whole new realm of possibilities for what's available for the church. The other thing that was just recently announced from MediaShout is MediaShout version 4.5, which has some huge new features, and that's the reason I'm bringing this to you. They have QuickTime support built in now, so you can play QuickTime files natively, including MP4 files and MOV files, which is really nice. They have PDF support, countdown clock. So there's some interesting fixes, but the biggest one is that QuickTime support that they've added. And the people I've heard talking about using 4.5 have said it's so much more stable. It's such a rock solid program. So if you're using MediaShout, make sure to update to 4.5. So that's a little news about presentation software. So check out MediaShout and the new ProPresenter Edge Blending module. Well, let's reach into the stockpile and grab you guys some great resources for you and your church. And the first resource is from blingblog.tv. Yes, you heard it right. It's blingblog.tv, and it's from our friends over at lifechurch.tv and their creative team. Now, I got a chance to meet a lot of their creative team at the Echo Conference. It was a good time hanging out with them. Well, on their website, they've been posting some different things lately, and one thing that a question they get asked a lot of times is about creative timelines. So on here, they talk about how they have 13 physical locations, plus all their other craziness going on, plus church online, and so they made a little card, and you can see it here, and this is the Media Design Team Creative Timelines, and it shows, how long it takes to get things done. Now this is for them, and this is what they hand to people, and it's got reminders and different things, and so they can't do anything in 1 week. They have to have more than 1 week notice, and to do new artwork, they're looking at doing motion artwork concepts and designs 4 to 5 weeks out, which is a long time out. That's a pretty decent time ahead of time. So it's a pretty interesting chart that you might be able to adapt for your church. Now, I would encourage you to go at this and say, what's realistic for my church? You can't just plop this into your church and say, yeah, I need 8 weeks to do a booklet or 7 weeks to do a mailer. For me, I can do a mailer a week ahead of time or 3 days ahead of time most of the time. So there's different things that play into it, depends on the season and all that thing, but come up with a standard timeline and have that available. That way you're held accountable and they're held accountable, and there's no fighting going on about, well, I thought you said you could do that, but I can't do that, and all of those sorts of things. So check that out. I think that's pretty sweet. Well, the next resource is also from Church Online. It comes from Tony Stewart, who helps lead the online team, and it's a behind-the-scenes look at the video production of Church Online. And so a couple people did a little walkthrough, and you can actually get the white paper of our process and equipment. They have a Google Doc of that you can download as well. So let's check out behind the scenes at video production of Church Online.
Recording, Kevin.
Hello.
Kevin Ely.
Kevin Ely, video producer, LifeChurch.tv, and a video producer for Church Online. This is the stage, technically backstage right now. It's set up for our Toontown experience on the weekends. This is where Craig preaches a lot, and this is our new Church Online home. Come this way. fancy. Full Panasonic switcher, does a lot of things. This is our inputs from here. This is set up to do a 3-camera shoot when we have the cameras, which usually is just when Craig's preaching. Satellite input from our flagship campus at Oklahoma City, down the road. For Church Online, we're using this studio we pre-produce everything except for Craig's message. So we record the worship in advance, we record our campus pastor talk in advance, and we play it back on Final Cut here. A little worship going. That's playing, and we'll capture that on Final Cut here, and over here. The man behind the camera, John, does our live encode for Saturday evenings. And I don't really know much about this.
So maybe I should tell them.
Yes. Do you want me to take that?
This is John. Yeah, take that. Let's do this awkward handoff.
All right.
With our fancy flip camera. All right, so right here what you have is primary encoder. It's doing 2 flash media encodes. So a high bandwidth, or a normal bandwidth and a low bandwidth. And then we have, just for backup purposes, because you know everything can go wrong, it does. We have that running just as a backup. So that's these are the encoders, just standard old Dell computers with Osprey encoding cards in them. So that's the story. We're going to take it right back here. We'll show like the computers and how messy this room is. Edmund would be upset. Right here in the rack, you've got the primary encoder, the backup encoder, our satellite. This is what's bringing in our satellite. The tech team would be very disappointed if I showed you this room in its current state. We just moved in here last week, so this is the new. So don't tell them. So there you go. That's the tour of Church Online here in Studio B. Later.
Well, our next resource is actually for you web developers out there. If you're developing for the web, you know that HTML5 is this new big vast land of awesomeness. At least that's the way they make it seem. Well, video on the web, you know, you've heard this fight between Flash and HTML5 and how you can just throw any video on the web and it will just work if you put it in the right format. And there's all these wars going on and all of this stuff. Well, I was in a breakout at the Echo conference with John Dreyer, and he talked about a new script that he made called MediaElement.js. Now, you can find this at MediaElementJS.com, and this is a video player that you can just use the native video element, put in your video file, and then it's going to work with everyone. It falls back to Flash. It uses Silverlight if you don't have Flash, and it tries to use the regular HTML5 video element before it does any of those other things. So this is browser supported. This is using an H.264 file. You can do iPhone, iPad, Android, Safari, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Opera, and yeah, just pretty crazy stuff. So it's really cool. The best part about it, it's free. There's other people out there that are developing this, but they're making you pay for it. John's not. So check out MediaElementJS.com. You can also check out Tony Stewart at tonystewart.me, and of course blingblog.tv. Blinkalicious! Well, before we move on, let's say thank you to our sponsor of Print Management Solutions. Now, we're going to be talking about InDesign today and some postcards that I'm making, and it's all possible because of the printer that we got from Print Management Solutions. They've allowed us to do so much with print and save tons of money in the process. So check out the website. You can go over there, you can click on sign up, and you can enter your information, enter the promo code of ChurchMediaDesign to help us out. And they're going to come up with a customized quote and a customized system for you and your church. So you're going to get your own printer, you'll get service and ink and toner, all of that stuff included in the package, and it's going to save you a ton of money. So if you like wasting money and not being a good steward of God's resources, you don't have to use this website. But if you do like saving money and being a good steward of God's resources, check out printmanagementsolutions.biz. I know that was a little much, but I think it's pretty true. So be a good steward. Stewardship's a good thing, and check them out. Well, today we're going to be talking about data merge inside InDesign. I know, it sounds so exciting. Well, it really actually is, because it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to allow you to be more creative with things that usually aren't very creative, and it's going to save you some time, which to me is the most important thing of them all. So what data merge is, it's similar to mail merge inside of Word. Well, we all hate Microsoft Office, we all hate Word, we all don't enjoy using those programs. And over the past few years, I've been teaching our administrative assistant how to use InDesign. She uses it to lay out all of our programs and all of our newsletters and all that sort of stuff. Well, the one thing she always has to go back to Word for is to do mail merges, so that she can merge our current database into mailing labels that can get put on envelopes and postcards and all that stuff. Well, I was like, well, there's got to be a way for us, since we're printing all of these postcards in-house, why can't we just print their names right on it? I know all these big print houses do it. They have to have a system for it. It's got to be possible. So I did some digging, and I found about data merge. So data merge is very similar to mail merge, but it's a lot easier to use. And it's built into InDesign. I think it came around in version CS2. So if you have CS2 or higher, I'm pretty positive this feature set is in there. We're going to be using CS3 today. So as you can see, we're inside Google Docs, and we have a spreadsheet laid out. Now, I made this inside Google Docs so that you could see you can make this inside of any program. You don't need Office. You don't even need OpenOffice. You can use regular old Google Docs and their spreadsheets inside here. Now, what I have here is, you can see last name, first name, spouse, address, city, state, zip code, phone, and kids. And I just laid out all of these different things. I made up some fun addresses like Wall Street and Awesome Avenue, someplace street, Sunset Boulevard. I don't even think I spelled Boulevard right. Anyway, not that great. But the big thing you can see here is there's only one field at the top that's saying what these fields are called. You can't have church database 2010 to 2011, space. Now I'm going to put my headers for my columns, and now I'm going to put my columns. You need to have the first row be the header for all of your columns. So that's the most important thing. And we have phone and kids and all sorts of stuff in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this as a CSV file. Now, a CSV file is a comma-separated values file. This is a standard format that pretty much any program can use. So Excel will save this out, Google Docs, OpenOffice, all of these programs will all save out this CSV file. And this is the file that InDesign wants. And I'm grateful for that, because it makes it so any program can open this up. You don't have to have a special software to do it. So we're going to save that out. So what we're going to do here first is let's just make something, make up a little address label. So we're going to just type in Brad Zimmerman. We're going to say 1114 Washington Avenue, Grand Haven, MI 49417. So if you ever want to send me anything, that's our office. You can send your goodies and treats there. I'm just going to make the font size a little bit bigger. Some of my spelling's wrong, but I don't really care about that right now. Let's go find an interesting font. So let's say we were doing a crazy, happy, girly looking thing, and I wanted to use this yelly font. So we'll get this set up. We'll set our line spacing here so that it's looking okay, and there is our label. So that's what we want our label to look like. So now let's go into, let me actually zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to size this font down just a touch. Let's go down to like 14. Okay. So here is our label. So now let's actually bring in the data. So we're going to go to Window, Automation, and then we're going to go to Data Merge. Now this is going to pop up a little window. We can pop this over into the side here someplace so that it's always in there, and then we'll flip out Data Merge. So in grayed out text, it kind of tells you what to do, but the first thing you need to do is select data source. So from the file menu here, we're going to do select data source, and then we're going to navigate to our desktop and we're going to select our mailing list CSV file. I'm going to hit open, and what you see immediately happen is it brings in all of the fields. So you can see we have last name, first name, spouse, address, city, state, zip code, phone, and kids. Well, the cool thing is we don't have to use all these fields, and they're so easy to use that I don't really care if there's extra fields in there. So you can always set up your database to have all of the extra information in there. You can have email addresses, whether or not they have Facebook, what their website is, what their pager number is for all those people who have pagers. So let's start adding in our information. So what I'm going to do is select Brad, and I'm just going to click first name. And then I'm going to hit Zimmerman, and I'm going to hit last name. And then 1114, we're going to do address. And Grand Haven, we'll do city. And MI, we'll do state. And 494, we'll do zip code. Okay. So now we can go, and we've now replaced all of our text with, and the reason this A is showing up is because normally they're hard brackets, and I'll just change our font so you can just see this real quick. This particular font doesn't have the characters. You can see normally it has these greater than, less than signs. So now we're going to go to preview. Once we hit preview, you'll see that the first one in our database shows up. So if we go back to mailing list, you can see Sean Anderson. So we do have a problem though. So we're going to click back in here, and once we do, we should be able to, space this out, and we can shut our preview off. And now it will be, first name, last name, address, city, state, zip code. So we now have all of that information being pulled in, but we only have one entry being pulled in. We need to pull in all the entries. Let's say we're doing address labels, and we want to make a nice address label sheet. Well, now we can just click on this button in the corner, or we can go up here, cancel. Or we can go up here and we can do create merge document. So we're going to do create merge document, and we can say documents per records per document page. And so we can say multiple records, and now it's going to lay out multiple records per page. And if we hit preview, you'll see that it's now laid out 2 columns, and we can actually go to multiple records layout, and we can actually put space between these columns. And you'll see that we'll get a little gutter in between them, and we can do the same here. So now all of our addresses are pulling in, and so now you just kind of have to go and fiddle with the settings to get it to line up with your document. Now, one thing that I'll make sure you guys understand is the multiple records per page, all it goes within margins. It will never put something outside a margin. That's why we're not getting this document, we're not getting 3 wide here. But if I would change my left to 0 and my right to 0, we might be able to get 3 to fit. So I got rid of all of my margins. And so now you can see we're bumping right into the top corner of this. And I'm just going to hit OK. It's going to create the document. It'll take a second because there's multiple pages. It might have to mess around with that. Here's our 1 page, and it's gone and laid these out. Now we can now go and fiddle with them ourselves, or we can say, oh, something got spelled wrong. We can change the spelling. It's now no longer linked to that document after you've created that merged page. So now back in our regular document, let's change this from being address labels to being the back of a postcard. So what we're going to do here is let's lay this out like we would a postcard. And the easiest way to make this happen is to kind of create a placeholder text frame. And you'll see why this becomes important in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 6 or a 5 by 7. So we'll do 1 inch to let's just kind of guesstimate this at this point. So let's say that's our 5 by 7, and we actually could change this size right here. So let's do that, 5 by 7. So here's our 5x7, and we'll lay that out on the page where we would like it. And then let's send this to the back. So I'm just going to do Control Shift and left bracket, and that will send it all the way to the back. So now we have our address label, and let's say we like that there. Let's throw a little divider in here to divide that, and let's make a little square for our postage stamp. So we have a little postage stamp placeholder so that they know this is where you put the stamp. So we'll just move that into place, and then let's grab some text, and let's just create a new text box, and we'll just write in some dummy text. So I've placed in this dummy text, so we have our dummy event. This event is going to be awesome. You better be there. Where the church, when Sunday, and who, everyone. And so now we have our little document laid out here. So let's say this is the back of our postcard. Well, if we do preview, you'll see it throws in the information just like it should. Now, the cool part is when we go to do a preview, so let's create a merge document, and let's preview our multiple records. So we're making sure that's multiple records, and let's preview our multiple records. So now you can see in here, it's actually messing around with our, let's change our 0.25. Actually, let's do 0.5, 0.5. And again, it's using these margins. It's kind of holding over our last settings that we had. And you can see here that we don't have enough room, so I'm just going to kick the top down to 0.25. So now you can see we have our dummy events, and we can change these back to 0, and they'll be right next to each other. But what it's using is it's using everything that was currently on that page to create your repeating document. So you can put whatever you want on there, and all of that's going to get repeated throughout. So now when we create, and so let's move our left column over a little bit so that it's centered. So maybe we do like 0.75 and 0.75, and that'll be perfect in the center. And we can hit OK, and now it's going to go through and create that merged document. And what it's saying here, no overset text was generated while merging records, which means no text went outside of the box size that you gave me. But now when we scroll through here, we have all of these postcards with all the individual names ready to get printed out. So now you can print those out. Now the one thing that you're going to run into is you can't do multiple pages. I can't lay out the front of the postcard on one page and the back on another page and have it do every other and make the multiple pages. So you're going to have to either you could create this document, then add in a new page and paste it in between every other page so you can do front and back printing, or else you just print the back and then print the front. So hopefully that helps you understand how data merge can help you and your church save some time, that you don't have to print out address labels and make junky looking postcards, or even for envelopes or for your address labels. You can use InDesign to do this instead of having to go inside Word, and as you can see, it's really easy. The other thing is you can actually add in image information into those fields. So let's say I saw a tutorial where they're making coupons and they wanted to pull in a different logo per coupon. So they had all these different logos matched up. So maybe you're doing name tags for your kids ministry, and each age group has its own little icon. So you could print out those and have the icon attached with each person's information, and then you can actually make a placeholder that icon gets shoved into. The possibilities are pretty limitless. So if you have any questions or any ideas, or if you want to see how to do images with data merge, let me know. Leave a comment on the website or shoot me an email. But hopefully you've understood a little bit more about data merge and how it can help you out. Well, this week's inspiration comes to you from watermissions.org. Now, they're a mission organization that provides water in third world countries and all over the world. And they just made, actually Hilo Creative, I think is how you say it, created this amazing video that kind of shows what they're doing in Haiti. It's really interesting because our church, in partnership with experiencemission.org, is working on a trip to Haiti here in January. And then I stumbled across this video, and it just kind of got me excited about what's going on there and the rebuild effort that's going on. The video is awesome. It's got great tracking, great song, awesome camera work, and really great text that captivates you. But most of all, it shows what's going on there and really inspires people to be it inspires people to be a part of it, is what I'm trying to say. And then we don't want to bring up false feelings in people, but we do want to help people see the power of what's going on, and you can do that visually. So check out this video, be inspired. And I got an email from somebody who watched this on when it was posted for Morning Motion, and he said, man, I watched this video like a few times. I watched it once just to watch the story, and then I rewatched it for the text, and I rewatched it for the camera work. So if you need to rewind and watch it a couple times, by all means do that. So check out Water Missions. Well, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Church Media Design TV. I'm so glad that you guys can be a part of it. I know the bobbleheads were grateful to have you here as well, because they do so much during this show. You know, they sit there and bobble. Anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments about any of this stuff we talked about today, or you want to find more resources on InDesign, or if you're looking for an open source free version of InDesign, Scribus. You can check that out online as well. No promises on the data merge functionality in that program, however. But you can check that out. But you can shoot me a line. My email address is brad@ChurchMediaDesign.tv. You can hit me up at twitter.com/CMDTV, vimeo.com/CMDTV, as well as you can find our website. We just got a brand new URL, and you can find us at CMD.tv. So CMD.tv, you can find everything there. So if you're looking for this episode, you can find it at CMD.tv/110. So CMD.tv/110, and you'll find a link to the web to that episode there. But if you want to subscribe, you can go to CMD.tv/subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast feed. It's the best way to make sure you're getting it. Watch it in HD. We don't zoom in on the screencast because we record it in full HD so that you can watch it back in full HD as well. So enough with my ramblings. Check the website out. You can find tons more on there. So as for me and my favorite bobbleheaded friends, we're saying see you later.